Okay, so I am going to show how to make the hardest pattern in my animal book, and that's the turkey. And you'll need a lot of different colors. You'll need black yarn, brown yarn, red, blue, white, yellow, multicolored. Most of it you could actually make with scrap, but you'll definitely want majority black and white and brown and the multicolor. So what we want to do is you want to have a 24 peg loom, and what we're going to do is we're going to be starting off with our red. I'm mostly working with scrap yarn here, so I'm going to start off with our head, and it says we're going to be working 12 pegs flat with red. Okay, so it tells us to start with red. Now it says to draw string, cast on 12 pegs. So you know how I like to hold that back. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12. Make sure that it's right. Alright, so then we're going to take it back. I'm going to toss every other stitch over. Okay. This is our cast on. Now you're not going to actually pull it tight, you're just going to pull it to where all the stitches are nice and smooth for easy sew on. Okay, that's the object of this particular cast on. Okay, now it says row 1 and 2 to knit. So what you're going to do is you're going to knit for 2 rows. Okay. So this is row 1. There's a lot of color changing that goes on here. There's a lot of stitch patterning work that goes on in this pattern. It is one of my more technical patterns, but it really is a nice turkey pattern. It's based off of an actual photograph of a turkey, so you're going on coloration and everything. Okay. So here is row 1. And then we're going to go in, we're going to do row 2. And then we're going to do little sacks that hang from the neck. Okay. And that's not too bad either. I'll show you how that's done. Again, you can use any 24 peg loom. I don't want it too large, so I'm just using my 3/8 inch gauge. Okay. And here is row 2. Now we are going to do the next thing. Now, it says to, row 3, it says to knit 1. Okay. Then it has a parentheses section, which means we're going to be doing a short row section. And it says to knit 2 for 6 rows. Then you're going to be bringing original loops back, which means to make that easier, get your stitch markers up and get you 2. So we've already knitted 1. What we're going to do is we're going to put our stitch markers on the next 2 stitches, because it says to bring the original loops back in there, so we know we want our original loops are marked. Okay. Alright, so then it says to knit 2 pegs for 6 rows. So we're going to be working over these 2. So this is going to be row 1. And then row 2. Row 3. Row 4. And row 6. Then it says to bring the original loops back in their parentheses area. So 1 and 2. Alright. Move those out of the way. Then it says knit 2 together 2 times, and then the parentheses ends. So we're going to knit the 2 together on these 2 pegs. Okay. Alright. Then it says to knit 6. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then it says to repeat what you just did. So you're going to knit 2 for 6 rows, and bring the original loop back. And then knit the 2 together, and knit 1. And that is how this row is done. Okay. So you're going to repeat what we just did over here, and you're going to knit 1. Okay. And when we come back, we will do rows 4 through 8. So pause the video and get that much done. Okay, so we've done row 3. Now we're to row 4 through 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5 rows of knit. So we're here, and we're going to knit back and forth for 5 rows. Seems simple enough. So go ahead and back and forth for 5 rows. Pause the video and get that much done, and then when we come back, we'll be starting at the section where we're going to need to be attaching the blue and kind of working up this area right here where we're changing over from red to there. Okay. So go ahead and pause the video, get 5 rows of just straight knit done, and then we'll be ready to start adding blue color. Okay, in the pattern we are on rows 9 and 10, and what you're going to see it says CCR, which is change color to red. Well, of course you're starting with red, but you're doing 2 rows, so that's the reason why it has CCR knit 1. And then it says CCBL, which is blue, right? Then you're going to switch over to blue. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit 1, and then I'm going to add a color. I'm not going to cut the red. Right, we're just going to, if we're doing a small color work here, okay, I'm going to push that down to the base. We're going to have, okay, then we're going to pick up the blue, because it says change color to blue and knit 1. Now, you're going to do this all the way over. So what you can do is you can go here and here. And knit the red and knit the blue. And then in between, this is how you can knit 2 colors at once. Okay. Red, knit blue, and you're going to do this for a total of 2 rows. Okay.
City. Betty.
Okay, so this is row 1. Alright, but now we got to switch up, because we're going to start with a red. We're kind of radiating out towards the blue. Okay, so I'm going to start off with red and then blue, which is why it says change color to red and then change color to blue. Okay. Alright. Okay, so I'm gonna pull it in, and we're gonna do this for a total of 2 rows. Okay, now it says on row 11 that you want to change color to blue. Okay, and you're going to knit 11 wrap and turn. Okay. So basically we are to this section here. Okay, looking at the pattern, you don't use the red for a really long time, so I'm going to go ahead and close off that red color and tie it off. Here. Now we're ready for the short row section. Okay, in the pattern for row 11, it says to knit 11, wrap and turn. So here's 1, 2, okay. Then at this point it says to wrap and turn. And then it says knit 10. And then wrap and turn and knit 9 and continue that process until you're down to 2. Okay. So wrap and turn, and then you're going to knit 10 and wrap and turn, and you're going to continue this until most all except 2 pegs are wrapped and turned. Okay, so I'm going to tell you to pause the video, wrap and turn down to where you have 2 pegs with no wrap and turns, and the rest of the pegs have wrap and turn. Okay, what we're doing is creating the head shape. This seems simple enough until you get to that tail and the body. So enjoy the simplicity of the head. Okay, and you're going to wrap and turn. Alright. So it said to knit 11 and wrap and turn, which you did, and then it says to knit 10, wrap and turn, and then knit 9, wrap and turn, 8, wrap and turn, 7, wrap and turn, 6, wrap and turn, 5, wrap and turn, 4, wrap and turn, 3, wrap and turn, 2, wrap and turn, and we'll go from there. Okay. Okay, you'll see that we have wrap and turns all over here, and wrap and turns all through here, and 2 single stitches here. Might be a little hard to see because it's blue. Okay, so then what I say is to knit 2. Okay, this is all short rowing. Okay, so you're gonna knit 2. Alright, then it says to knit 2 together. So we're gonna knit 2. And then knit 2 together. And then it says to knit 3, knit 2 together. So you're starting with the peg you finished on and then knitting 2 together. Okay, then you're going to knit 4, knit 2 together. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and get all your wrap and turns back down to single pegs, and then we'll go from there. And basically what that should do is complete row 11. So your last thing should be knit 11, knit 2 together. And then we'll be ready to do row 12, which is an internal decrease from 12 to 6 stitches. Okay, we're to the next section where it says to internally decrease from 12 to 6, which means we're halving our stitches. There's multiple ways of doing an internal decrease, and it's all up to you as to how you want to do them. You can go in and just decrease every other stitch and then bring all the stitches together and tighten the stitches, or you can lift up half on each side and place 2 on each stitch, okay? I personally like to go in and lift up half of them. So I'm going to lift up 5. And then I'm going to place that 5th stitch on that 6th peg. And then place 2 stitches on the next peg. So I've just decreased by half there, and 1/2 will always be easier to decrease like this than the other half. Reason being is 1/2 will have a tensioning you can mess with, because it's got your working yarn on that half. Okay. So for something this small, you may want to do it this method. You know, there's not many stitches to actually work with. Okay. Alright, so now that we've done that, you'll see that we've decreased and are down to 6 pegs with stitches on it. And we're just going to knit the 2 together. Alright. There are other sections in this pattern where you will be internally decreasing. This is a common theme in here in order to get this fanning and the kinds of shaping that you need with the turkey. There's going to be a lot of stuff like that in this pattern. Okay. Just gotta get used to the internal decrease if you want to make a turkey. Okay. There's a lot of stitch work that goes on in here in order to create a really nice shaping. Okay. And there is the top of our head. Now, while it seems pointy, you should go look at a picture of a turkey. Their heads are kind of pointy. Okay. So, there we have completed that. And now it says to change the color to red. We're not going back to blue anymore. So we can actually snip the color. Go to the base. And then you're going to have knot. Now, some of y'all may have different techniques y'all use to change color. Whatever y'all see fit on how you like to change color, it is entirely up to you. This is how I personally like to change color. Okay, now that I've changed color, it says change color red, and then it says knit 5, and then E-wrap chain 20, and then bring the original loop back. Okay. We are creating little piece of skin that hangs down the side of its beak. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So we're knitting 5. Okay, now we're going to take a stitch marker because we've got to bring the original loop back. We're going to place it on there. And then we're going to erect chain 20. And what that means is you're going to wrap and toss. Wrap and toss. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 20. All right. Look here. Now, what you want to do is bring the original loop back. And you can take that off. And that completes row 13 in the pattern. Next it says on row 14, knit 2 together and then knit 5. Okay, so we're going to knit the 2 stitches together. And we're going to knit 5. Okay. Alright. Now it says to change color to yellow, and then you're just going to knit 6 for 2 rows. So we're going to pick up our yellow here, because we're switching the beak to the beak color, and we're going to change color again. Okay, so I like to tie the new color around the base of the old, go to the base, and you're going to cut your original color and do a half knot around, and then put it as close to the base as possible. And tighten it. And I like to pull it. Okay. What you can do is you can leave it like this, you can cut it really short. So that you don't hardly ever see the color changing going on. You don't have all these other things to contend with. Okay. That's the reason why I like to do the magic knot. Okay. You go in and we loosen up those stitches. Alright. Now we've changed color. Now we want to knit for 2 rows. So here's 1. And then here's 2. Okay. Now it says at this point we're going to decrease, knit 2 together, and then decrease again. Okay, so we're going to decrease by moving the stitches over this way. Then we're going to knit 2 together, knit 2, then we're going to decrease that outer stitch over, and knit 2 together. Okay, then we're going to knit for 2 rows, so here's 1, and 2, and it says we're going to knit 2 together over here, and decrease and knit 2 together over here. Okay. I'm going to outer stitches and give you trouble. Okay. Knit 2 together. Knit 2 together. And it says to knit for 2 more rows. So 1 and 2. And then drawstring binder. Okay. Okay. Here is your head. And then you will want to sew it up. Okay. So what you'll do is you'll sew it up this direction, and sew it up this direction, and then you will go ahead and stuff. Now, I personally hot glue the eyes on, but you can, if you're wanting to give this to a child, you can safety eye them on, okay? So that completes our head section. Okay, so as you can see, I've put in the eyes balls on the side before sewing up front, okay? And then I sewed up the front and the beak, and then you can stuff. The beak really won't be stuffed for the most part. Alright, so this is the head. Now we're ready to start the body, and there's some special instructions here. We're going to be starting off with brown. We're going to be working with brown. It says to use 14 stitches. Brown, I'm going to be knitting flat. It also has a note that says, keep in mind when you are changing colors, you are simply picking up from the side the color is on. This means you will be working from the same side for 2 rows. This is going to make more sense. All right. So we're now officially done with the blue color. And we are done with the red color. All right, so now we're to the multicolor and the brown. Okay, and what we're going to be doing is a type of broken seed stitch. Okay, so what we're doing is we're going to cast on. Okay, it says to drawstring cast on 14 pegs. Okay, so we're going to 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You're going to come back and you're going to toss every other loop over. Then it says your first row will be a knit. Then it'll say change color to the multicolored yarn. Okay. And when I talk the multicolored yarn, I'm using Caron Simply Soft in the Sunset Autumn color. And the only place I've been able to find it is at Walmart. So, alright, so our first row is a knit. Okay, so we're going to knit over. Alright, then we're going to be getting prepped to change to the new color. We're not cutting the yarn because we're going to be doing basically a, I think it's a broken seed stitch. Okay, and that will change things up. It gives you a feathering texture to the front without having to actually make physical feathers. Okay, just so you know, the broken seed stitch gives a look without having to actually do a whole lot. Okay, but it is a little bit to keep up with. All right, so next things next, you want to attach the new color because row 2 is change color to multicolored yarn, and then it says to knit 1, purl 1 all the way across. Basically 7 times, but you're basically doing it all the way across. Okay. All right. Let me turn it down again. Okay, then you're going to pick up the multicolored yarn, and you're going to do a knit 1, purl 1 all the way across. So you're going to knit 1, purl 1 all the way over. Okay. And then at some point in here, we're going to start increasing. So, and that gets fun, but I explain how to do that, all right, in the pattern. So knit 1, purl 1 all the way over. Now, if you're choosing to do another multicolor, you want something that has quick color changes, okay? Because the quicker the color changes are, the more colors you'll get into the actual feathering, okay? Alright, now increasing on this is at the ends only, and it's just an extra wrap around the next empty peg is all you're doing. Okay, and knit and purl. Alright, so now we're to row 3, and then it says change colors to brown. This is where you're starting from the same side and you're picking up. It says to increase 1. So what you want to do is you want to wrap around the next empty peg. There's your increase. And then you want to knit your way over. Okay? Alright, so that completes that. So you change brown and you knit all the way over. Then it says to pick up your multicolor again. So change to multicolor, and then you're going to knit 1, purl 1 7 times, and then your last stitch should be a knit. So you're going to knit 1, purl 1 all the way over. Again, this is a broken seed stitch, and this is kind of how you do it flat using 2 colors if you haven't done this before. It really produces a beautiful stitch that looks like feathering. Okay? So when you start seeing these 7 times and 8 times, basically you're just going to the end and then it tells you what your last stitch should be. You just continue what you're doing, okay? Here. Knit 1, purl 1, and on your increased stitch you're going to knit, okay? Alright, so then it says to change to brown. You're going to pick up the brown over here. And then it says to increase 1, so you wrap around the next empty peg, and then it says to knit your way over. Now, as you can probably see, you'll see a pattern developing in here, okay? And when it says something, you know to go to what's next. So with your brown, you're always increasing. And that way it doesn't get too complicated on your seed stitch, which is your multicolor. And that's where you have to keep up, okay, with your multicolor. Alright, so you have your knit, and this is going to be row 5 that we're working on right now on our body, Okay, and this technique goes up to as far as row 21. And what you're wanting to do is go in and increase until you have a total of 24 picks. Okay. All right, so now what it says to do, now that you've done that, it says to pick up your multicolor because we're on row 6. And then it says to purl 1, knit 1 all the way across for a total of 8 times. So we're going to start with a purl. Okay. And knit 1 all the way over. And you need to keep up with what's what, okay, and with your increasing and all that jazz, okay? So I'm showing you this so you know. Follow your pattern as to how it's going right now, and it's an increase one on the brown, and then it's a seed stitch, and you got to keep up with your seed stitch, whether you finish with a purl or knit, and knowing that you need to start with the opposite of what you ended with, okay? So you got to keep up with that. If you're not got the written pattern in front of you, you're going to continue this process until you have filled in all 24 rows. Okay, so we started with a purl and we knit 1. Okay, and again you go to the other side where the brown is, and then it says to increase. All right, and then knit your way over. Okay, so pause the video, get yourself to where you have all pegs filled in with stitches, and continue the patterning that we're doing. Okay, so we've, as you see, increased one last time here, and we worked our way around. And now we are ready to tie off our multicolored yarn. Okay, so I'm going to cut that and tie it off. And then we are ready to do row 22. Okay, so we're going to tie off our multicolored yarn. Okay, so as you can see, here's your last increase, and then you worked your way around as row 21. Okay, now it says to knit 24, starting to work circularly. So, which means we're going to go around. Okay, so we're going to knit 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Then it says knit 6 to get you to a new starting point, okay? But basically what we want to get back to our original starting point, right, just right here. So we're going to knit 6. We're going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so row 22 is done. Now it says to CC in, and that's going to be changed to black. It's going to be in the key, which means we need to switch up to a black yarn. All right, and we're going to be staying with, looking at it with the black yarn for a bit. So we're going to go ahead and change yarn colors. So what we want to do is tie the new color around the base of the old. Push it down as far as we can. Then we're going to cut the old yarn and tie it around the base of the new. Okay, and then Remember, I like to take it all the way down as far to the base as possible. So take it down, tighten, pull. And what that does is it allows you to not have a whole lot of tails running around, okay? So I'm going to cut it, and there's your connection, and then you can go in and loosen it up. Okay, now we've changed our colors. Now what we want to do is knit 11 and wrap and turn, okay? So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then you're going to wrap and turn. Okay, wrap and turn. Okay, then it says to knit 10 and wrap and turn. So we're going to knit 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then it says to wrap and turn. Then it says to knit 9 wrap and turn, 8 wrap and turn, continuing this process until you have 6 stitches in between your wrap and turns, okay? So kind of like we did on the head, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to pause the video and knit wrap and turn until you are down to 6 single stitches in between your wraps and turns, okay? So we're knitting our way over. And we're wrapping and turning. Okay, so get it to where you have 6 single stitches between a bunch of wrap and turns on each side. All right. Okay, so you have 3 wraps and turns over here, 6 single stitches in the middle, and 3 wraps and turns, and I've ended over here. All right. So what I'm going to do is it says to knit 6, knit 2 together. So we're going to start with the peg we finished with. And we're going to knit 6 and knit 2 together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, knit 2 together. Okay. Then it'll say knit 7 and then knit 2 together. Starting with the peg you finished, knit 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, knit 2 together. So you see the process. So you start with the peg you finished with, knit over, then knit 2 together, back and forth until you have no more wrap and turns, and then we'll go from there. Okay, and we'll almost be done with this row. So we've knit 7 we knit 7, knit 2 together, then it's knit 8, knit 2 together, knit 9, knit 2 together, knit 10, knit 2 together, knit 11, knit 2 together, and then knit 12. I'm going to come back when it says to knit 11, knit 2 together, and knit 12, okay? So pause the video and get all your wraps and turns back into single stitches. Okay, so we're now to knit 11, knit 2 together, and then knit 12. So we're going to knit 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, knit 2 together, and then it says knit 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay. Now we are done with row 22, 23, and we're ready for row 24. So what it's saying is we need to knit 16, and then we need to do a feather. And that isn't too bad. So we're going to knit 16. So we're going to go 1. How did that one end up so tight? 1, oh, weird. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay. So a feather, and it's going to be in parentheses, which means it's a series of short rows. And you have a bring original loop back, which means you need to actually put your stitch holders. We're going to be working 2 stitches, so we should only need 2 stitch holders. Starting off small on our feathers and working our way up. Okay, so in the next 2 stitches, we're going to know we're going to need to bring the original loops back because we're doing feathers. Okay, this is where the plumage gets more elaborate. So, alright. So what we want to do is, now it says to knit 2 4 times. So knit 2 for 4 rows. So here's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then it says to bring the original loops back up, which we've marked, so it's not difficult to do. And then it says knit 2 together 2 times. Then you'll see that it says feather again. You're going to repeat this feather step another time. Okay? So we're going to repeat what we just did in the next 2 stitches. It says feather, which means you're just going to repeat that feather. Alright? Then it'll say to knit 4. Okay? So I'm going to put a stitch marker on those 2 next 2 stitches. Okay. And we're going to knit 2 for 4 rows. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. And it says to bring the original loops back up. And then knit 2 together 2 times. Okay. So we're going to knit 2 together. 1. And 2. Then it says to knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. At this point, then it says to knit row 25. So where you just knit the row. Okay. Now we are on row 26, and this is going to kind of be a stagger, and this is where we're going to also change color. We're going to need our white, so I'm going to go ahead and bring over my white when I'm ready. So what I'm going to do is knit 15, okay, and then I'll switch and attach white. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, and in here it says feather again, and then it says we're going to change color to white. So we're going to find our white. Let's see where my sample is. Okay, so So I'm going to change over to white. We're not going to cut black, I don't think. I'm trying not to cut as little as possible. Just makes for a cleaner line. Okay, so what we want to do is, now that we've attached our white, I'm going to put that in the middle, and we're going to be doing a feather, but this time it says in parentheses to knit 2 for 6 rows rather than 4 rows, and bring the original loops back. Okay, and you're going to see an increase in how many rows you do on each row of feathers, because you are making them larger as you go back towards the tail, so that when you add the tail on, it makes more sense than just having it go from smooth to tail feather. So here we go. We're going to go knit 2 for 6 rows. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. And then we're going to add the original loops back, like it says. So B-O-L-B, bring the original loops back. And then you're going to knit 2 together 2 times. And this is the feathers for this row. And then it says to do the feather concept 3 times. So this is going to be your first feather, and in the next 2 you're going to do a feather, and in the next 2 you're going to do a feather. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to go in and do a feather here and a feather here. Okay, just like we did. Knit 2 for 6 rows, and you're sticking with white. Bring original loops back, knit 2 together for 2 more feathers. So pause the video and get that much done. Okay, I have finished my 3 feathers. You can see 1, 2, 3. And now it is time to go in and knit 3 in the black. So what I want to do is go in and tie off the white, and yes, we will have to go in and do more tying off with this section, because we're switching. 1 row of feathers will be white, 1 row of feathers will be black, and back and forth and back and forth. And so you'll have to do more work that way. Okay, so you want to tie off your white. Okay, then we want to go in and knit 3. So you go 1, 2, 3. And that finishes row 26. Row 27 is just to knit all the way around. Okay, when you get around here, what you can do, if you don't want this kind of hanging around, you can kind of pull it over, and you can knit it over. It's not written in the pattern this way. This is if you just don't want it hanging around. Okay, and just knit those 2 together, knit those together, and that'll tighten it up. Okay. Alright, so we've knitted all the way around. Okay, that kind of snuggs that up right there. Okay, and then on row 28, what it says to do is to knit 14 and then start a feather. So we're going to knit 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, now we're going to knit a feather, and it's going to be 8 rows rather than 6. And if you have the written pattern in front of you, you will notice that the Every row there is another feather row. You're going to be doing 2 more rows. So we're increasing the size of the feathers as we go along so that it'll blend in with our tail feather when we go to do that. Okay, so we're going to do 8. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm going to bring the original loop back, which is always easy. Just pull them back up. And then you're going to knit the 2 together, and you're going to repeat this feathering for a total of 3 more times. So you're going to have a total of 4 feathers on this row. And you're going to repeat this in the next 6 pegs. Okay, so you have finished feather 1. You're going to do a feather here, here, and here. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and do 3 more feathers where you knit 2 for 8 rows, bring the original loops back, knit 2 together 2 times. Okay, we've done our 4 feathers, so you're kind of seeing 1, 2, 3, 4. And what you want to do is to finish up row 28, it says to knit 2. 1, 2. Now it says for row 29, you just want to knit your way around. So you see a theme occurring in here. Between every feather row is a knit row. Okay? So then we'll be starting on row 30, and we'll be knitting 13, and then we'll be doing a feather stitch of knit 2 for 10 rows. You notice that we've added 2 more rows to our feathers, and we stagger them each time. Okay, so they're not absolutely perfectly lined up. We're staggering them. Okay. So, and of course, because we're hitting the other row, we're going to be working in white next, and it'll say change color to white. And because there's getting to be a bigger and bigger space, we're going to have to tie off each time and add back on. And yes, that's a pain, but it gives the look that you want. Okay, so we're at row 30. You want to knit 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. Then it says for feathers. Feathers in this row are going to be white. So we're going to change color, and we're actually going to completely tie off the color and add the new one. So you want to take and tie your new color around the old, push to the base. Okay, so you're going to snip the old color, which is the black, and you're going to half knot it around the white. Okay. And then remember, we pull it as close to the base as possible. And then we pull it. And that way it's tightened so that you don't have to have all these extra strands running around. You can cut it fairly short. Okay. Then you go in and you loosen your stitches up. Okay. Now, we switched over to white, and it says to knit 2 for 10 rows from the original loops back. So we're going to put stitch marker into 2, and I'll show you how to do this one, and then I'll leave you to do another 4 feathers. Okay. So what you want to do, we're going to go and knit for 10 rows. So here's row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then you're going to bring the original loops back. And then you're going to knit the 2 stitches together. We're going to do a total of 5 feathers on this row. Alright. Okay. So, then we're going to knit the 2 stitches together. Okay, and then we're going to, then it says to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 more feathers. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Total of 5 feathers in this row. Then it says to change back to black and knit 1. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video, and what you want to do is go ahead and do 4 more feathers, then change back to black like we did over here. You're going to knit 1 to finish the row, and then you're going to go ahead and do row 31. We're going to knit all the way around. When we come back, we'll start on row 32. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video, complete row 30 and 31. When we come back, we'll start on row 32. And row 32 will be our last feather row. Okay, and then we'll be starting to work at the back end of the body. Okay, so what you'll see is this is the front end of the body, and what we've been doing is the back of it. You can see those little feathers there, and when you pull it out, you can actually extend the feathers more. Okay, let's go ahead and pause the video, complete 4 more feathers, change back to black, knit 1, then knit 1 row, and we'll come back and do row 32. Okay, I have, as you can see what we've got, there's our chest area and the bottom, and there are all our feathers. Okay, and you see the last white section of feathers that we did. And we've done our knit around, and we're now ready for row 32 and 33. Okay, and what it says to do is it says to knit 12. Okay, so we're going to knit 12. We're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. Okay, now what's next is we're going to be doing a feather, and it's going to knit 2 for 12 rows. So you see that we've had an increase of 2 stitches. So you put your stitch marker on the next 2 pegs because we're doing a feather, and it's been using 2 pegs in order to make a feather. Okay, so now we're going to do 2 for 12 rows. So here we go. 1, 2, that is so much. do the hill. All right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, and it says to bring the original loops back on. There's 1 and 2. And I'm going to knit the 2 together 2 times. And you're going to do 5 more feathers, all right? All the same, just like this, all right? So you're going to do 5 more feathers just like this, okay? All right, and then after you do your 5 feathers, which should end you right here, you're going to do a row of knit, okay? So go ahead and pause the video and complete your 5 feathers that are left, and then do a row of knit. We'll come back and we'll start row 34, which is going to be kind of weird, but it's because we are going to be starting a partial fan on the back, and then we're going to be doing another partial fan in white on the back, so you know. So we're doing like a kind of fan without a feathering, all right? But as you can see, that's what we've been doing with our feathering. You can see it a little clearer. That's what you've been doing, okay? So go ahead and do 5 more feathers and then do a row of knit, yellow and black. And then when we come back, we'll do our next section, which is going to be kind of unusual. But if you're wanting to know where in the pattern we are finishing this here and then moving to these 2 sections here, okay? So we're almost done with the body. Then we're going to do the wings, and then we're going to do the tail feathers, okay? So we're almost done with the body, all right? So pause the video and get that much done, and we will come back and start doing the next section of the body. Okay, we finished our row 33. We're now on row 34, and what it says to do is to knit 23 and wrap and turn. So we're going to basically be knitting all the way around and stopping here and wrapping and turning, okay? Okay, and there's 23. Okay, then it says to wrap and turn, and knit 10. So we're going to knit 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then it says to wrap and turn, knit 9, wrap and turn, knit 8, wrap and turn, knit 7, wrap and turn, knit 6, wrap and turn, knit 6. So you're going to be wrapping and turning until you have 6 single stitches in between your wraps and turns. So it should be 3 wraps and turns on each side with 6 single stitches in between. Okay, so what you want to do is go ahead and pause the video and get your wraps and turns done and have 6 single stitches sitting in the middle between your wraps and turns, and then we'll be ready to work our way out, okay? So go ahead and pause the video, get this section done, and then I will show you what the next section of row 34 is, okay? Okay, so you have 3 wraps and turns, 6 stitches in between, 3 wraps and turns, and you finished on this side. Okay, now it says to knit 6, knit 2 together. Okay, and this is where you add your wraps and turns back in. Starting with the peg you finished, going to knit 6, and then you're going to knit 2 together, and then it says to knit 7, knit 2 together, which means you're starting with the peg you finish with, knit 7, knit 2 together, knit 8, knit 2 together, and you continue this process back and forth, and then we'll come back when it says to knit 10, knit 2 together, and go from there. So pause the video and start working on getting your wraps and turns back added in, and then we'll come back when it's time to knit 10, knit 2 together, because we're fixing to be changing things up. Okay, I've just done my knit 10, knit 2 together, and you'll see I have one more wrap and turn here. I'm going to start with this, and then it says knit 11, knit 2 together. And this completes row 34. Okay, and we'll be ready to do row 35. All right, we're going to have a color change in there. We're basically going to repeat the same thing that we just did, but on our short rows, we're going to be using the white yarn. Okay, so there is the end of row 34. Now what we're doing is we're on row 35, and what it says to do is to knit 12. We're still in the same color. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then it says to change color to white. So, and we're not going to cut the black yarn this time, okay? We're going to keep it. We're just going to add the white in, all right? So you're going to half knot, put to the base, and then half knot again. And this is where you're going to be doing basically what we just did, where we are going to knit 11, wrap and turn, knit 10, wrap and turn. Okay, so this is where we're going to be doing a repeat of what we just did. And so you're going to decrease down to where you have 6 single stitches. Then you're going to increase right back out again. But we're going to come back when we get to the, we're going to stop at knit 10, knit 2 together, because then we're going to tie back off the white and pick up the black, okay? So go ahead and pause the video and complete the same short row down to 6 single stitches with 3 wraps and turns on either side. Then knit your way back out, adding the wraps and turns back in, and stop when you get to knit 10, knit 2 together. We'll come back then, and then we'll go over how to finish up row 35. Okay, so we've done our short rowing, as you can see, out, in, and back out. And we have one more wrap and turn over here. Okay, so we've done our knit 10, knit 2 together. We're going to snip that and tie off the white and switch back over to black. Okay, because then it says to change color to black. Okay, so we're going to pick up the black color. And then it says knit 11, knit 2 together. Okay, so we're going to knit 11, knit 2 together. And that completes row 35. Okay. Then the next section is a purled row, which is going to make it easier for us to have a guide of where to sew our tail feathers onto later. So what we're going to do for row 36 is we're going to purl a row. Okay. So go ahead and pause the video and purl 24 pegs. And when we come back, we'll get ready to do the next section where we're about to finish off the body, okay? This is really literally the back end, and so we're about to finish it. Okay, we're on rows 37 through 41 on the body, and it says to knit, which is 5 rows. So what you want to go in and do is just knit 24 pegs for 5 rows, and then when we come back, we're about ready to close off the back. It's going to show you how to do a prep decrease, and then we're going to drawstring bind off, okay? So what you want to do now is go ahead and knit for 5 rows. So possibility to knit for 5 rows, and when we come back, we're going to finish off the back end of the body and be ready to start on the first wing. Okay, we have completed all our rows, and this is what you should have coming out the other side. Now what we want to do is a prep decrease. And what we're trying to do is get every other peg empty. So you want to knit to take the first stitch back to the first peg, toss the bottom loop over, and then move it back. Okay, so knit 2, take it back, toss the bottom loop over, and move over 1. So continue this process all the way around. Okay, we've done that. Every other peg should be empty. Cut you a long tail, and then you need to drawstring bind off. Toss the loop over, pull the tail through. Okay, so drawstring bind off, close up the back, stuff the body, then you'll sew up the neck here. Okay, then you will add, after you stuff everything, then you will add the head. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video, drawstring bind off, stuff, sew up the neck, stuff some more, and then sew on the head. Then we'll be ready to start the wings. Okay, so you can see here's your body with the head attached. There's a seam down the back, okay, and you see your double short rope area here, okay. And here's where your tail is going, tail feathers are going to be attached, and you're going to actually sew around that purled line, okay, so that it attaches really well. And then I've sewed my head on top and everything. Next we want to do the wings, and what it says to do is E-wrap cast on 14 pegs using black and white together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. And then what it says to do in row 1 is knit. Okay. Now push our cast on loops down. Then we're going to just knit our way back. Okay. Next is going to be making feathers. Okay, we are to the feathers, and what you're going to do is you're going to knit 2 for 9 rows, and then you're going to bring your cast on loop up, which is B, C, O, U. All right, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then it says to BCOU, bring cast on loop up. Okay, that's what that means, broken down. Alright, so what you want to do is you want to find your cast on loops. So there's one. And there's two. Okay. Wait, that's it. Actually, no, there it is. Okay. You bring your cast on loop up. Okay. And what you've done is you've just created a long feather. Alright. Alright. What's next is it says to then knit 2 for 7 rows, knit 2 for 5 rows, and knit 2 for 5 rows, and knit 2 for 3 rows. Okay, so those are feathers where you're bringing on the cast on loops. And if you want, you can go ahead and you can do all that and then bring the cast on loops up. That might make it a little easier if you're used to doing the brim separately. So the next is knit 2 for 7 rows. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is a little bit more difficult because you're working with 2 colors at once. 5, 6, and 7. And then it says bring cast on loops up. If you feel more comfortable going in and doing all of them and then bringing up the loops, you can do that as well. So I'll show you how that's done. Okay, so you can do that at the end if you want, because it does show that as BCOU every other section. Okay, so we've done the knits 2 7 rows, bring cast on loops up, and then it says knit 2 5 rows. So we can go over here and knit 2 for 5 rows. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and then it says to bring cast on loops up, but we're going to do it at the end, okay? So you know that you have that option. Sure. Okay, then it says to knit 2 for 5 rows again. So we go to the next 2. We're going to knit those for 5 rows. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and then it says to bring the cast on loops up, which we'll do at the end. And then it says knit 2 for 3 rows. So we're going to go to the next 2. We're going to knit 3 rows. So here's 1, and 2, and 3. Now we can go back and do the bring the cast on loops back up. Okay, now I'll make it a little easier. Just see. Okay, so we have cast on loop there, and cast on loop there, and there, and there. So if you've done the hemmed brim, this is basically what you're doing. Just bringing the cast on loop back up. Okay. a little tighter than normal just because we're doing two colors at once. Okay. And then you're going to put that on, and then you're going to knit 4, and that completes the upper row. Okay. Again, because we're using two colors, it can get a little bit tighter than that. All right. We can loosen it back up. And last one. Okay. So on the next section, it says to knit 4 and then knit 2 together 10 times. Okay, so here we go. We're going to knit 4 and we're going to knit the 2 together. Make sure that the stay. Okay. And then knit 2 together. So you're going to knit all those 2 stitches together all the way across. Okay. Now I like tossing the top loop over and then the bottom. If you find it's too tight, you're not putting any pressure on the stitch you're tossing over, okay? And you're pulling back into the middle, and that keeps it looser. All right. So this is row 3 on the wing, okay? Now there's wing 1 and wing 2, and all of the difference is you're flipping it so that it sits differently. The long wing sits differently on the opposite side is all you're doing. So wing 2 is just flipped. Okay. All right. Okay. Go in and try to pull those wings out. Okay. Now, at this point, it says to knit. Okay, so this is row 4, so we're going to knit. And then we're fixing to need to change colors to brown. And then when we do that, we're going to be changing to brown, doing a few rows, changing to black, doing a few rows. Okay. We're going to knit this. This is all based off of a photograph of a turkey, so this is as accurate as I think I can get it. Okay, now, at this point it says change color to brown. And then it says to knit row 9 through 5. Okay. And we're going to end up changing back to black at the end. Okay, so 9, 10, let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 5 rows of brown. All right, and I'm not going to cut the black. I'm just going to cut the white. Okay, so we'll cut the white out because we aren't going to need it again. I'm going to knot those together. All this is going to be hidden when you go to sew down this wing, okay? All right, now, so what we're going to do is we're not going to cut the black, we'll just pick it up. And then we're going to knit for 5 rows on your brown. So what you'll need to do is pause the video and knit back and forth for 5 rows. And then we'll change up and we will go to row 10 through 12 and knit 3 rows in black, and then prep decrease and draw a string bind off. Okay. So here's row 1. All right. So pause the video, get your 5 rows done, and we'll come back and do our 2 rows of black, do a prep decrease, and finish wing 1. Okay, we've done our 5 rows of brown. Then it says to change color to black and knit for 10 through 12, 10, 11, 12, 3 rows. Okay. So this will be 3 rows. And you can tie off your brown when you get to the other end. All right. So here's 1. And then 2. And when we finish 3, we can tie it off, and then we got to do our prep decrease, okay? So here's row 2. And row 3. And we'll cut our brown, tie it off, do a prep decrease, and finish up this wing. Okay. The wing doesn't take long. What's going to take you longest is the tail feathers. In which the tail feathers is going to be a bit of a challenge. Okay. Alright. So we're going to cut our brown, tie it off. Okay, and we're going to do our prep decrease, and if you remember how that's done, you knit pegs 1 and 2, and then take your second stitch back to the first peg, toss the bottom loop over, and move over 1. Okay, you're going to do that all the way across, and then you're going to draw a string bind off, like I've shown. And then we'll be ready to sew on our wing and work the next wing. Okay, so the wings aren't too bad. It's when you get into the tail feather, it's going to get challenging because we're going to be doing double peg, double stitch knitting on a single peg. So that's going to be a little bit to keep up with. You can also switch to a 36 peg loom if you think that would be easier, but know that you'll be decreasing and it gets a little trickier when you do that, okay? If you so choose to do that. Because it says how many stitches you will need, okay? So here's our last, and then we're going to be ready to do a drawstring bind off. Cut you a tail. I like to go to my opposite end. Toss the bottom loop over. And my tail through. Okay. So we're going to draw a string bind off. And then we will need to sew our wing onto our turkey. Okay. We'll be ready to start the second wing. And again, it's the same as this one, but the beginning is reversed so that you have it mirroring the other side. All right. Okay, and one more, and then you can pull it tight, and there is your wings. There's your little wing tips there, okay? And then what you want to do, you want to take and you want to sew them on. You can sew them on closer to here. I usually like to overlap them a little bit, but you can sew them on. It's up to you where and about you want to sew them on. You can sew them up closer to the front, right here, if you want. You can sew them up closer to here, if you want. It's entirely up to you how you want to sew it on, but you want to sew it on, and you want to make the other one, but that is how you make wing one, okay? So go ahead and pause the video and decide where you want to sew your wing on. Again, you can try putting it closer to here to sew it on, or you can put it back here, which is probably where I'm going to do it, okay? Alright, so go ahead and pause the video, sew your wing on, and we'll be ready to do the next wing. Okay, as you can see, I've sewn on my wing, okay? And now we're ready to do wing two. And it's going to be done very much the same as this one. You're just reversing what you're doing with the feathers, okay? So again, you're going to be starting off with a white and a black at the same time. And you are going to do an E-wrap cast on. Okay, so wing two is very similar to wing one. Alright, and you're going to E-wrap cast on 14. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then you're going to knit a row, and then we will be ready to go in and get the camera angle right. Then we'll be ready to go in and do our feathers, alright? So you just want to knit the row. Okay, now it says to knit 4. Okay, so we're going to knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, then it says to knit 2 for 3 rows. So here's 1, 2, and 3. And then it says bring cast on loop up, but we'll do it all at once. And then it says to knit 2 for 5 rows. So I'm going to go to the next 2 and knit for 5 rows. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then it says in the pattern to bring the cast on loops back up, but it's going to do that all at once. So we'll skip to the next section, okay? Then it says to knit 2 for 5 rows again. So we're going to go over here, we're going to knit 2 for 5 rows in the next 2 stitches. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, and then it says bring the cast on loops back up, which we're going to do at the end. So next we're going to say, it says to knit 2 for 7 rows in the next 2. So we're going to do 1, 2, and 7. And it says bring the cast on loops up. And then it says to knit 2 for 9 rows. Okay, so we're going to knit the last 2 for 9 rows. So you're 1, okay. And it says to bring the cast on loops up on that one. Okay. And now that we've done all that, we're ready to bring the cast on loops back. Alright. So we're going to find our first one, we're going to bring it back on up. And find our second one and bring it up. And if you're having a hard time, just try to find one that's closest to it. Okay? It's not exact science, you're just trying to make the wing more obvious, the leaves more obvious. Okay, so it's not exact science on this one, it really isn't. And due to the double coloring, it's a little tighter than normal. We brought our cast on loops back up. Here's your feather, 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 feather. Okay. Now, it says to knit 2 together 10 times and then knit 4. And we're still on the same dual color, alright? And what I find is easiest is to knit the first top stitch over, then the bottom. Okay. And this is very difficult with the camera in the way. I normally have it on my tummy. Okay. It will be tight. That's because you're working with double colors. If you have a yarn that has a black and white kind of intertwined that's in a worsted weight, I would suggest using it. That way it'll stay easier to work with than trying to do it this way. Okay. So if you have a multicolored black and white, I would suggest using it in a worsted weight. But if you don't, you can do it this way. It's just a little tighter. And normally I'm not using this tight. But due to the double colors, it does make it a little tighter to work with. And it's harder trying to do this on a slick surface when you normally do it on your tongue. Then it says to knit for 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Release your holding peg. Alright, now what it says to do is to knit one more row in this, and then switch to a switch to brown. Okay, and again, I'm going to cut the white. I'm not going to cut the black. All right, I'm going to switch over because I'm going to be using it. Okay. Alright, it says to change color to brown. I'm not going to cut my black, I am going to cut my white. Move it out of the way. Pick up my brown and tie it down. Pull it down to the base. To knot my tail white and brown. Now, when it comes to sewing on, I just make sure that these ends get sewn up into the under the wing. Okay. Alright, now it says row 5 through 9, you're going to knit in brown, just like we did before. Okay. So go ahead and pause the video, and I believe that's 5 rows. I'm going to knit for 5 rows in brown, okay? And then we're going to come back and we're going to switch over to black, and we're going to knit 3 rows in black, do a prep decrease just like on the other wing. So at this point, everything's exactly the same as the last wing, and then we'll be ready to start the tail feathers. Okay, so it's just the section we just did that was a little different. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and complete this wing. If you need help, again, it's 5 rows of brown, 3 rows of black, prep decrease, and drawstring bind off. If you need help with that section, go to the other wing after we add the brown and follow it exactly the same. Okay. And that's how you finish up the second wing too. Alright, and again, you will just sew it on the other side, and then we'll be ready to start the tail feather, and the tail feather is going to be more difficult. I am using a technique that is a double peg doubling, where you're using 2 stitches on a single peg. But if you do not feel comfortable with that, you can get a 36 stitch loom, 36 stitch peg loom, and make the tail feathers. And I can show that as a simplified if you have it. If you don't, you can do the double pegs then. So go ahead and pause the video, complete your wings, sew it on, and when we come back, we'll be ready to do the tail feathers. Okay, so we have our wings sewn on, okay, and now we're ready to do the tail feathers, and you have 2 choices here. You can use the 24 peg loom, but you're going to be doing a technique called peg doubling. Okay, so you have peg doubling, or you can, if you're working with the larger gauges, you will have a 36 peg loom, okay? But if you don't, say, have a 36 peg loom in the 3/8 inch gauge, you can do the peg doubling, and I'll kind of show how that's done. But if you do the 36 peg, it's going to be easier for the majority of it, but when you go to do a decreasing of the every other stitch, it gets more complicated, okay? So you're going to get a complicated section either way. There's a lot of changing colors, there's a lot to keep up with, so it's going to be showing you how to do that, okay? Because the first thing it says to do is cast on one, then double peg cast on one. Okay, so every other stitch is going to have 2 stitches on it, all right? And what we're starting off with is white, okay? And I'm going to show you how this gets started, all right? So you're going to cast on one, okay? And then it says to double peg cast on. And what that means is you do a regular cast on, then you move it back one, and then you double peg cast on, toss over, and then move over one, okay? So that is a cast on one, double peg cast on. And then we're going to do another cast on, and then we'll do another double peg cast on where you cast on, you move the stitch back one, and then you double peg cast on, okay? And then you move it back a stitch, all right? So you're going to repeat this all the way around, and you should have a total of 36 stitches, okay? So pause the video and get that much done. And if you're working on the 36, then just cast on 36, okay? And then we'll go from there, okay? But I'm showing the more complicated thing, but I will try to show also the easier way of doing it with a 36 peg loom, but I wanted to show that you can continue to do this on a 24 peg loom if that's all you have, okay? Now, when we're doing this, we're going to be knitting flat, so in order to be able to keep up with what stitch is what, we're going to actually need to move our double stitches. We need to move our double stitches back one, okay? So we need to move them all back one. Alright. And we got to remember which one's on top and which one's on bottom. Sorry. Let's out of the way. Okay. So we need to move all our double stitches back one. Okay. And the problem with the double stitching is you always have to keep up with which one is next and which one is on top, okay? And when you're doing it in flat rather than in the round, it can get a little bit more fun, okay? Alright. And again, when I get done with the white section here, I'll show you how to start prepping for the 36 peg. Alright? Okay, so we moved all our double stitches over. And what it's saying to do is to, row one is to knit one, and then double peg knit one. Okay, so you're going to knit the top one, move it back a stitch. Okay. Move it back a stitch, then knit one. And we're going to leave it there because we're going to be coming back around this way. Alright, so we're going to knit one, then we're going to knit one again, then we're going to move it back one, okay, then we're going to knit one, okay, knit one, then double peg knit, which is knit one, move it back one, and you can leave it there because you're going to be knitting back the other direction, and knit one. Okay, and you're going to do this all the way around, alright? And this allows you to go in and be knitting with 36 stitches. Right? And so you're going to be doing this all the way around. Now, the next row was said to be purl 1 and then double peg purl 1, okay? And that means you're going to be purling all the stitches. So if you're doing this on the 36 peg loom, then you're going to knit your first row after your cast on, and then purl your second row, okay? So if you're trying to do it on the 36 peg loom, that is how that's going to run. So cast on, knit all the stitches, and then purl all the stitches, okay? But if you don't have a 36 peg loom, say in the 3/8 inch gauge, you can just do this method, okay? Alright, so go ahead and pause the video and complete this row, and then I will show you what a purl 1 double peg purl is about next. Okay, we're to the next section on row 2 where it says purl 1 and then double peg purl 1. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to purl that first stitch, and then you're going to purl the top stitch, and then you're going to move it over, and then you're going to purl the pink stitch, and that is your double peg purl, okay? Then it says to purl 1, and then it says to double peg purl, which means you purl both stitches on a single stitch, and you move it back 1, and then you purl the next one. Okay, and we're leaving the stitch there because we're working flat, okay? So purl 1, and then double peg, purl the top stitch, move it back, purl the bottom stitch, and we're good to go. So what you want to do is you want to do this all the way around, and go ahead and pause the video and complete this row, and then have your multicolored yarn ready to work with, okay? Because that's what we're switching to next, alright? Pause the video, get this row done, and have your multicolored yarn ready to go. Okay? We'll go from there. Okay, we need to change colors, so we're going to tie our multicolor around our old color. Pull it to the base because we want our color change to be really snug, and we don't want to have to weave in a whole bunch of ends, so we're going to half knot and pull that half knot down to the base like we've done before. Okay, so we're going to pull that down. Okay, and we're going to put it really tight. And then we'll cut it short, and then we'll loosen up our stitches so that it's up. Okay, so I'm going to go in and loosen up our stitches. Okay. Now it says to change to multi, and then what you want to do is you want to knit 1 and then double peg knit. Okay, so you knit 1 and then you double peg knit, okay? Just like we just did. So go ahead and pause the video and work your way around just like we did with that first row, okay? And so do that around, and you're going to do that for a total of 3 rows back and forth of just knit and then double peg knit, okay? So pause the video and get that much done. Okay, if you're wanting to do the 36 peg version, you get your 36 peg loom, and you're just going to double that cast on, okay? All the way around, alright? So go ahead and pause the video and cast on if you're wanting to do the 36 peg version, okay? And for the most part it is easier, but when you get to doing the decreasing, it will get more complicated, and it's a little easier to do the decreasing on the other method, okay? But I will show you how to do it on this method if you feel like you'll be more comfortable just working this peg straight out and then just trying to figure out the decreasing, okay? So go ahead and pause the video, get cast on, and then we'll go from there. Okay, you've cast it on. You want to work your way back, and all you're going to do is knit all your pegs. So you're going to knit the rows. So pause the video and knit all the way around, and then we'll come back and do the next row. Okay, we've now knitted a row, and now what we want to do is go in and work our way back and purl the row. Alright, and then we'll be ready to change up to the next color. So we're going to purl our way around. So go ahead and pause the video and purl your way around, and then we'll come back, switch to the multicolored yarn, and get caught up with our 24 version. Okay, so you can see how this is kind of working. All right. Okay, you're going to change color just like you did with this loom. Okay, just like that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to just knit for 3 rows back and forth. Okay, so we're just going to start with just tossing over that bottom loop. Of course, that first peg's always a fun one. Okay. Alright, you're just going to knit back and forth for 3 rows. Okay, so row 1, 2, 3. Alright, so knit for 3 rows. Now I'm going to go back and show the people who are doing the 24 peg what the next section looks like, okay? And when we come back after showing them what the next section, if you're doing the 36 peg version, I'll come back and show you what's next with that. Alright, now if you're doing the 24 peg version with the 36, with the double peg doubling, you want to tie your black yarn around your multicolored yarn and change color just like we did last time. Okay, and wrap it around and half knot it. Pull it down to the very base. And make sure it's on the other side. And then you want to pull it tight, okay? And then you're going to snip your ends. And then you're going to loosen up your stitches. Okay. Alright. So now what it says to do is change the color to black, and then you're just going to knit and double peg knit. Okay. So you're going to knit and then double peg knit. Alright. And you're going to do that for 2 rows. Alright. So you're basically going to go around and knit for 2 rows, and then you're going to do a row of purl. Alright. So you're going to knit, move the stitch, and knit. Alright. So you're going to knit this way and then knit back with this peg doubling, okay, that we've been doing. And then we're going to come back and be on row 8, and then I'm going to show you what's next there, okay? So pause the video and get 2 rows of black done, and then we will go from there.
Yes.
Okay, on the pattern we are on row 8, and then it says to purl 1, double peg purl. So we're going to do just like we did in the light, where you purl 1, and then you purl the top one, move it, and then purl the bottom one, okay? So go ahead and pause the video and go in and purl a row, okay? And then be ready to change to your brown color, okay? So pause the video and we'll go from there. Okay, now if you're working the 36 peg loom, you need to change to black and you need to knit for 2 rows, okay? So you're just going to knit for 2 rows. Go ahead and pause the video and knit for 2 rows, and we'll come back and I will show you the next row. Okay, I've done 2 rows of knit, and now I need to do a row of purl if you are using the 36 peg loom. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and complete your purled row, and then you'll need to change to brown. Okay, so you're going to change to a brown color. All right, so go ahead and do your purled row. If you're doing the 24 peg loom with the 36 stitches with the peg doubling, you're going to change to brown, and you're going to do 5 rows of brown. And what you're going to do is you're going to knit over and then knit. It's 5 rows of knit. Now, if you're wanting it to lay a little bit more flatter, you can do every other row of purl. We're just doing this as a guide and what I have written down. Okay, so you knit that top stitch and move it back. I find double peg knitting, double stitch knitting on a single peg on a flat is actually easier than if you're doing it in the round. You have to shuffle that peg, that extra stitch a lot more than you're having to do flat. Okay, so this isn't as bad as if you were doing it in the round like I have for my doll pattern in this book. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to do 5 rows of brown like this, where you're stitch shuffling, and it's all knit. There's no purl involved. Okay, so you're going to do 5 rows, and then when we come back, we'll be doing a purl row. Okay, so pause the video and get your 5 rows of brown done. Okay, so we're on row 14, and at this point you want to purl your way around. So it says purl 1 and then double peg purl 1. Okay, so to purl the top one, move it back, and then purl the next one. And then purl 1, purl the next one, move it back, and then purl it. Okay, so it's a row of purl. All right, and when we come back, you'll need to change to a white yarn. So go ahead and pause the video and complete a row of purl. And then we will switch to white and do the next row, which will be row 15. Okay, let's pause the video and get that much done. Okay, if you're working the 36 peg loom, you need to switch to your brown color, and then you'll need to knit for 5 rows and then purl for 1. Okay, so go ahead and knit for 5 rows, pause the video and come back, and then we will go to the next row and work from there. Now, while this has been really easy up to this point, it's fixing to get complicated once you switch back to white. All right, so go ahead and pause the video, complete 5 rows of brown, and if you feel competent, go ahead and purl row after your 5 rows. Okay, pause the video, get that much done. Okay, now that you've done 5 rows, you're doing the 36 peg tail version, you're going to purl a row, and then you're going to switch to the color white. All right, so you're going to purl all the way around. Let's go ahead and pause the video and purl all the way around. If you are working with the 24 peg version with the double peg knitting, you're going to switch to white, and here's where your decreases is going to be really easy. So it says change color to white, knit 1, knit 2 together. This gets you down to 24 pegs. So you're going to knit 1. That first stitch always a challenge sometimes. Knit. Okay. Then knit the 2 together. Okay, this gets you down to 24 pegs. So you're going to knit 1, knit 2 together. All right, so you're going to get all your stitches down to 24 stitches. Okay, all right, and then it says to knit 2 rows of knit after this row is done. Okay, and then it says to change color to multicolor and then purl. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to knit these down to 24 stitches like you want. All right. And then once you get there, then you're going to knit for 2 rows. Okay. So you're down to 24 stitches now. Okay. And at this point it says for row 16 and 17, knit. All right, so go ahead and pause the video and knit for 2 rows. And then when we come back, you'll need to change to your multicolored yarn, and then we'll be ready to finish off doing this pattern, okay? So once you change over to your multicolored yarn, you're going to purl a row, then you're going to knit for, it looks like 3 or 4 rows, and then you're going to do a prep decrease and drawstring bind off. So we're getting very close to done. But knit 2 rows of white, and when we come back, have your multicolor attached and ready to go. Okay, if you're doing a 36 peg loom, this is where it gets complicated. When you see change to white, which we've done already, it says to knit 1, knit 2 together. What that tells you is you're going to decrease. So you're going to knit 1, move 1 over, knit 2 together. Okay. And you're going to end up doing this all the way around, but do keep in mind you're going to have to bring all these stitches together. So knit 1, decrease, knit the 2 together. Okay. Knit 1, decrease, knit the 2 together. Okay. You're going to do this all the way around, and when you reach the end, then I'll have to show you what's next. So go ahead and pause the video and complete the knit 1, knit 2 together. Okay. Then when we come back, I'll show you what's next. All right. Okay, so what you should have is 2 pegs and an empty peg. 2 pegs and an empty peg, except for your first one. Now, what you need to do is bring all these stitches together. And because we've worked in the internal decrease, it kind of works like that. You can pick up half the stitches and put them back down on one half, and then you can do the same thing on the other half, okay? Pick up 2 more and I'll start placing them back in. Okay, so however much you feel comfortable picking up and placing back down. And then you just go in and put all the stitches back on the page right beside each other. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to come to the end, and I'm going to pick up all the stitches on this side and do the same thing, put them back on the loom to where there's no spaces. Make sure you have no spaces, it doesn't look like it. And then at this point, you're going to go to the opposite side of where your working yarn is. So here's the side, you go to opposite side. And you just start pulling on the yarn to tighten it up all the way around so that it's back to being even and you don't have any gaps showing when you finish the tail. Okay. And so at this point, you're doing everything the same on this one that you're doing on this one. So after you get those decreases done, it says to knit for 2 rows and white, and then you're going to change to the multicolored yarn. Okay, so then you're going to knit back for 2 rows, change to the multicolored yarn, which is where we're at now. Okay, so I've changed to the multicolored yarn, and the next thing it says to do is to purl the row. So we're going to purl the row next, okay? And then after that, we will do rows 19 through 22, we're going to knit, okay? So pause the video and purl a row, and we'll come back and we'll knit rows 19 through 22, and I'll tell you how many rows it is, okay? Okay, at this point, 19 through 22 is 4 rows of knit, so what you want to do now is you want to knit your 24 stitches for 4 rows, and again, it works now both the 36 peg loom and the 24 peg loom are in one with each other, so at this point, you just follow the pattern exactly the same. So go ahead and knit 4 rows, and we'll come back and I'll show you how to finish up the tail. Okay, we're to the prep decrease, so what you want to do is knit pegs 1 and 2 and take that second stitch back to the first peg, toss the bottom lip over and move the stitch over. And we've done this enough that I'm going to kind of just barely show you, and then I'm going to leave you to it, and then you're going to draw a string off, okay? And then we'll be ready to sew on our tail feathers, okay? So go ahead and pause the video, prep decrease, draw string bind off, and then we'll be ready to sew our tail feathers into our turkey, okay? Okay, here is our tail feathers, and now it's time to sew them on, and you can just find the center point and sew it on, okay? And just sew around it, all right? And you are complete, and that's how you make a turkey. So if you were wondering what the 36 peg version looks like of the tail, there you go. And here's the 24 peg version, okay? No different. Now, if you want, you can make 2 because it tends to bend in one direction. You can make 2 and sew them together, and that should straighten them out nicely. Okay? But as you can see, I sewed the tail on. And I actually kind of followed the purled line so it sat up a little higher. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and since I made 2, I'm going to sew the 2 together, stiffen that tail up, and that'll do. Okay?